2024 was certainly something else. A year of strength, a year of triumph, a year of weakness, a year of defeat, but most importantly, a year of lessons and growth. Hello everyone, it's Pixelated Pat, and for today's video, we're going to be doing some reflecting. And to do so properly, I guess there's no better place to start than the beginning. Truth is, when this year began, I had absolutely no clue what to expect. The only thing I knew is it would involve Nuzlocke and pixel art. Little did I know the huge growth that was waiting for me, not only in my personal life, but in my content creation life as well. While I was coming fresh off the heels of a numerically successful 2023, the final quarter of the year left me wanting something different when I realized that the absolute shit show that is Instagram Reels focused content might not be what I want to spend another year doing, and so I ventured my way into the world of YouTube. While the thought of switching from something that I was already succeeding in to a creative medium I was woefully unfamiliar with seemed crazy at the time, the call to answer my inspirations was much louder than what my sense of content creator marketing logic was telling me, and so I took the jump. As I continued to answer my inspirations without question and observe the roots of my craft breaking through the surface of inexperience, I'd become the most excited I'd ever been in my life to share the fruits of my passion. 15 views, 150 views, or even 16k, it didn't matter. The only thing that mattered was that I was following through on doing something that I'd been wanting to do for as long as I could remember. While I felt like I was ready to continue riding the wave of the euphoric high that came from exercising my creative fervor, my world came to a screeching halt when my beloved senior dog suffered a stroke that would ultimately result in her crossing the Rainbow Bridge. While I know that we did the right thing for her, and it's only a natural part of life, seeing her like that traumatized me to the point where leaving my well-paying job with a toxic work environment situation was the only thing I could do to not give in to the dark loneliness that I was now faced with after losing my best friend. Between these struggles I was faced with when trying to build myself back up financially, and the fact that I felt too emotionally flat to continue creating the content that I've been creating here on YouTube, I silently withdrew so I could focus on myself. While I would wind up producing what I can only call slop content over on Instagram, this too would come to a halt as my creations at that point in time felt like nothing more than the fading embers of One For All, slowly flickering away after a job well done. And so I devoted my focus to myself and to my finances, passing the time by playing loads of old school RuneScape as well as the first two Halo games. Fast forward through a several month campaign of shotgunning Flood and aggressive stat grinds and a period of time that also saw me working two jobs, I'd reached a point where I was content with the way things were. I was comfortable. However, beneath the surface, there was something brewing in the void, something that I couldn't ignore no matter how many hours I sunk into video games and work, and with it came a deep sense of dissatisfaction. You see, prior to my break, I had made the decision to dive back into the world of music creation, so that way I could avoid the risk of using copyrighted music in my videos. Something I don't get the chance to bring up too often is that before I dove into the world of Pokemon content, I was an aspiring musician and music producer. Music has always been a passion of mine from the time I first picked up a guitar and would eventually move on to music production and even lo-fi beats. Although somewhere down the line I slowed down and eventually stopped, which is what eventually led to me pursuing Pokemon content. As you can imagine, after picking music back up after more than half a decade, I instantly fell back in love with it, and it has always been one of the purest forms of my creative expression. The fact that I was combining it with another pure form of my self-expression in my YouTube videos was the icing on the cake. Before I stray too far off the main topic, because I could literally talk about music all day, I'll summarize it by saying that I'd found my magnum opus between creating music and Pokemon videos. I was the most alive I'd felt as a content creator, and I believe that's a huge part of the reason why I was so dissatisfied with where I was. Feeling comfortable just wasn't enough. Beneath the surface was a yearning for the exhilaration and excitement that came with pursuing a craft I was passionate about. And so, as my feelings regarding my dissatisfaction and yearning grew, I reached my tipping point when I came to the realization that by not following my heart's intent, I wasn't living my life the way my dog and everyone else who's ever cheered for me would want me to live. But most importantly, I wasn't living my life the way I wanted to live. And so, in typical Dexter fashion, on a cold November night, I decided tonight's the night, unpacked my toolkit, and sunk my blade into some videos. Which I guess brings me to where I am now, which is essentially the same spot I was in when I began my YouTube journey, and that's a content creator seeking to blossom in the ways of his craft. Not for views, not for money, not for status, but simply because doing so is how I answer my heart's intent. Well, that about wraps up this brief reflection video, but before we end things off, I just want to take a moment to truly express my gratitude for all of you who joined me on this journey. While 2024 was full of trials and tribulations, it is truly an honor to know that the lessons that I learned from those trials aren't the only thing I'm walking into 2025 with. That's because I'm also walking into it with all of you amazing people who have joined me so far. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for joining me on this journey. I'm not sure what's waiting for us in 2025, but I do know I'll be ready for anything with you guys by my side. As we bid this year adieu, let us never forget the memories and experiences that it brought. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next one. This is Pixelated Pat, signing off.